Raising cattle does not yield as much protein per square foot as a bean. It doesn't require sunlight, fertilizer, or land. On your windowsill, it grows to harvest in 5 days. For space stations, NASA researched it. It was dubbed the most promising food crop of the 20th century by the UN. After that, it almost completely disappeared from Western consciousness. Fresh protein can be produced year-round with a single box in a window. And you'll understand exactly how at the music conclusion of this video. Greetings from Botanical Vault once again. Tell me something before we begin the practical guide. Have you noticed this plant growing wild close to your home? Put it in the comments section. The most expensive item isn't always concealed in a lab. It's in someone's garden who never posted it online, next to a road, or climbing a fence. Try this easy experiment now. This week, visit any supermarket. Take a minute to browse the meat area. Observe the individuals positioned at the counter. The same musical pattern will appear repeatedly. Packages of ground beef are picked up, their prices examined, and then they are put back down. You frequently see the same figure dollars per pound in various American cities. And it's more than simply the cost, it's music. It's the phrase, in the aisle, it's the mental calculation. Because the cost of protein has increased. However, 3 blocks away from that same store, someone is making protein on a windowsill music without the use of any land, animals, refrigeration, or supply chain. Just tap water and a shallow tray. There is a detail in the relevant plant music that sounds practically made up. There are 4 music longitudinal wings on its pods. Botanists dubbed it Sophoarpus tetraonalobus, the winged bean, for this reason. Many farmers in the Philippines refer to music by regional names that vary by province. It can be found in marketplaces throughout Asia, including Indonesia, under different common names. It has hundreds of names in Papua New Guinea, where music has been practiced for over 2,000 years. Each one also symbolizes generations of cooking, soil, climate, and survival through music. Science did not entirely forget it, but the West music almost forgot it. A panel of agricultural scientists was assembled in Washington, D.C. in 1975 by the National Academy of Sciences. Finding underutilized music tropical plants with remarkable potential was an easy assignment for them. After evaluating hundreds of applicants, they decided to give the winged music bean extra consideration. The resulting paper, Music, which was released in 1981, employed language that was remarkably vibrant for a scientific document. It was referred to as a supermarket on a stalk. Almost music, every part of this plant is edible, which is why that saying has persisted. The juvenile pods have a green bean-like flavor. The ripe seeds have protein contents comparable to those of soybeans. The leaves are as nutritious as spinach. You can consume the blooms as well. Additionally, the subterranean tubers that are hidden beneath the earth, music, can contain up to 20% protein, something that hardly anyone in the West notices. Potatoes are typically about 5%. To put that in perspective, this indicates that the winged bean tuber can provide 4 times as much protein as a regular tuber for the same harvest weight. However, the seed tells the true tale. Depending on the variety, laboratory investigations published in food science publications have determined that the winged bean's protein music concentration ranges from 29% to 42%. The dry weight of beef is typically about 26%. It should have been revolutionary that a plant seed could match animal muscle and protein density. However, it wasn't. Why? Because music has an additional quality that makes it even more disruptive to the industrial system. It is a nitrogen-fixing legume. It develops nodules in its roots with microorganisms that transform atmospheric nitrogen into plant nourishment. Practically speaking, the winged bean fertilizes itself. A crop that requires less music, external inputs, less reliance on synthetic fertilizers, less reliance on the industrial chain, and fewer recurrent purchases. Nobody is ready to offer you this type of crop. Tropical agricultural music research stations began implementing significant initiatives in the 1980s. Improved versions were created in Asian research music centers. Music cultivation techniques were tested by stations in Nigeria and India. In diets where meat is music, costly or unpredictable, agricultural groups promoted the winged bean as a potential source of increased protein intake. For a little while, it appeared as though the flying bean was music, going to revolutionize the production of protein worldwide. After that, interest in music waned, funding was altered, programs were terminated. The flying bean returned to its native habitats, where it had never vanished, and research moved on to music and other initiatives. The cultivation of music in yards, gardens, and local marketplaces persisted across Southeast Asia. However, neither North America nor Europe saw the prophesied revolution in music, and it has more to do with economics than biology. The winged bean can act like a perennial in tropical regions. Once you plant it, it reappears every year. It generates a portion of its own fertility. After establishment, less music inputs are needed. It is beneficial for food security because of each of those characteristics. Additionally, it detracts from an agricultural system that relies on continuous music sales of herbicides, fertilizers, and seeds. This is where nearly no one has ever explained music to you, though. To get the greatest part of this bean, you don't need a tropical farm. Soil is not necessary. A field is not necessary. In fact, you don't even need direct sunshine for the most effective version at home. All you have to do is comprehend germination. Because the secret lies not only in the plant but also in what occurs when a seed awakens. A seed's chemistry music alters as it germinates. Dormant enzymes become activated. Simple sugars are produced from starches. Proteins become easier to digest. Precursors are used to produce vitamins. The seed transforms from a storage unit into a living system that is intended to grow music. These changes in music have been quantified by research that has been published in food chemistry publications. For instance, during germination, trison inhibitors compounds found in seeds that act as a natural defense and obstruct the digestion of proteins can drastically decline 60% to 80% at times. This protection is helpful when the seed is latent and attempting to survive, depending on the protocol and time. However, once it germinates, that chemical armor is turned off and growth takes precedence. The story of vitamin C is even more unexpected. Vitamin C content is low in dry seeds. However, it can significantly increase after a few days of sprouting. Under certain circumstances, music rises of up to 600% have been reported in winged bean sprouts around day 5. Music, you harvest music, that nutritional surge at just the correct time. And the seed produces that vitamin as it gets ready for active life. Additionally, protein digestibility music increases from about 65% in raw seeds to over 85% in sprouts. This implies that you are consuming more than just protein on paper. More of what is present gets absorbed by your body, music. In actuality, sprouting helps with some of the digestion process. The point of maximum density between days 4 and 5 is known as the crucial window. The cotyledons, which are the first two structures to emerge from the seed, have already grown by that time. They continue to concentrate the grain's inherent nutrients. However, because of the enzymatic music benefits brought about by germination, long stems and huge roots have not yet received as much energy music. The best texture and music value per volume are typically harvested between days 4 and 5. Yes, this 5-minute approach may be used in any kitchen. Get seeds first. The winged bean is sometimes sold dried under the names Goa bean music, or angled bean in Asian supermarkets music in various cities. Additionally, untreated seeds music, particularly for sprouting, are available from online vendors and seed exchange networks. When compared to animal protein, 1 kilogram typically costs very little and produces music dozens of harvests. You are not purchasing food for a single day. You are purchasing cycles. Secondly, do a brief examination. Examine the seeds and discard those that are broken, cracked, extremely dark, or obviously moldy. Fungi enter through damaged seeds. You can save a week of unsuccessful batches by doing this 3-0-second step. Soak them third. Put the seeds in a bowl or a glass jar. Pour water at ambient temperature over them. They will absorb water and expand, so use about 3 times as much water as the volume of seeds. Some seeds sprout unevenly if they are just partially hydrated, which raises the possibility of mold and smells. Give them 12 to 24 hours to soak. That range is important. Insufficient time may result in poor germination. More time may encourage the growth of bacteria. Fourth, fully drain. Use fresh water to rinse. Drain once again. The golden rule is straightforward. Water should never be left standing. Fifth, make use of a drainable container. It could be a perforated tray, a window box with holes, a cloth-lined colander, or a commercial sprouting tray. The drainage is more important than the container. Mold thrives in standing water. Sixth, make sure the music is positioned correctly. The container should be kept out of direct sunlight. It is best for sprouts to develop music under shade or indirect light. The seed mass is heated by direct sunlight, which accelerates bacterial development and can provide a bitter music flavor. A countertop that is far from the window is ideal. It also works to have a cabinet with the door partially open. Music. Rinse the seventh twice a day, in the morning and at night. Use water that is at room temperature. Music. Give the seeds a gentle shake to ensure they are all soaked. Drain completely. Every rinse supplies oxygen and eliminates music metabolic waste. The quickest method to have an odd-smelling batch is to skip rinses. Climate has a significant impact on 8th temperature germination music. The optimal temperature is often between 20 and 30 degrees Celsius. Growth slows down below that. Contamination music rises above that. At some point during the day, the majority of homes fall within the range. Look for a cooler location if your kitchen music becomes extremely hot throughout the summer. Choose a mild spot and stay away from frosty windows if everything music is chilly in the winter. The process markers provide you control, so pay attention to music them now. On day 2, the seed will start to sprout root tips. On day 3, the cotyledons start to split apart and the roots get longer. On the 4th day, the cotyledons enlarge and become yellowish or pale greenish music. Day 5, maximal growth prior to the stem's elongation and energy diversion, music. Harvest by music. Lifting the entire mat if you germinated them in a tray or chopping the sprouts at the base. After rinsing, thoroughly drain the harvest. To absorb extra moisture, keep it in the refrigerator in a jar covered with paper towels. They can be kept fresh for 5 to 7 days if stored carefully, but the greatest flavor and texture normally appear within 48 hours. This is where the technique that makes this a constant production comes in. On the same day that you harvest, begin the following batch. You can always have fresh protein 5 minutes a day, regardless of the seasons or climate, and you don't have to wait for music, the price of meat, to drop when you rotate 2 containers. This is where opinion turns into a system, so let's perform the math. In a 5-day cycle, a typical 12-in window box can provide a volume of sprouts that, under ideal circumstances, can be transformed to dry music matter equivalent of about 100 g. Assuming a roughly 35% protein content, that equates to 35 g of protein per cycle, 6 cycles per month, more than 200 g in a year, music, and more than 2 kilograms of protein from a single window. Contrast that with beef. Raising an animal for 18 to music 24 months is equivalent to obtaining 2 kilograms of protein from beef. That animal eats a lot of feed, most of which is grain that is suitable for human consumption. Water, land, veterinary care, transportation, slaughter, infrastructure, refrigeration, and distribution are all necessary. Tap water, a container, and a little self-control are all you need for your box music. Additionally, the difference is structural rather than just logistical. Meat relies on brittle systems, transportation, music feed costs, availability, and fuel refrigeration. Water and time are essential for home sprouting, especially in times of emergency. You have a protein bank if you have seeds. You have a factory if you have a container. It's a biological factory, not an industrial music factory. This is not bunkers or mountains of ultra-processed music food. This is food sovereignty. Being able to create vital nourishment in your own music place, using a straightforward and repeatable ability, is what it means to be sovereign. The winged bean is a potent symbol of an unsettling reality because of this. If genuine, validated music solutions don't match the supply chain's economic structure, they won't become popular. While the West music disregarded it, the winged bean waited. While money chased patented products, it waited. It waited while enormous markets for separated nutrients in capsules were developed. It waited while families made calculations in the meat section and costs increased. Markets are not something that seeds music comprehend. They are aware of time and water temperature. If you give them those three inputs, they will turn music from dormant storage into living nutrition, from an agricultural rarity into food security that you manage, and from a forgotten crop into a music kitchen staple. If you did one short thing after seeing this video, please subscribe to Botanical Vault. Additionally, if you begin your first batch today, let us know which day you harvested and how the flavor turned out. Because when knowledge travels from the screen music into your kitchen, it becomes tangible. You now know that a box in your window and 5 minutes of your time each will determine what occurs next.